Welcome into another episode of Mindset Monday with me, Matt, where I share with you things that have helped me over the last nearly 13 years now. Get sober and stay that way, rebuild my marriage, become a better father, a better husband, better in my career, live a good life. And how did I get here? What thinking led here? What actions led me here? I have the privilege and the honor of being someone that a lot of guys will reach out to when they're going through crisis. And I can't thank you guys enough for trusting me. What's the person that you would come to with this sort of thing? I know it's really difficult for guys to say, I need help. I don't know what to do here, because you feel like you're supposed to be the one that's that person for others. But I didn't come this way stock. This is the result of me and mentors and reaching out and reading and learning over the course of over a decade now. I hope that I can be some version of that for you in some way. If you just hear one thing here that helps you reframe something going into this next week, then I've done my job. I wasn't supposed to record today, but I felt like I needed to record today. I'm not sure why. I just had some things to say. Some things were at the front of my mind. And I felt like if I didn't get them out, then they would just disappear, just to the ether. And maybe I'd never revisit them again. So I wanted to pop on. Generally, we're slowing down our releases this time of the year so we can enjoy the holidays a little more. But I had extra time today. And we said from the beginning, if we have extra time, then you would see extra episodes. And so here we are. Here I am. Going to go through, I didn't count the actual questions. I think there's probably like 15 questions that guys ask on a pretty regular basis that a lot of people want to know the answers to. This is interesting, I think, for a lot of guys that are here listening to this, because you probably have these same questions, but for your spouses and partners, they have the same questions as well, just from the other side of this, right? They want to understand your thinking. I will do my best as an impartial person in the middle to explain what I was going through when I was experiencing some of this stuff, what I've seen others go through. And we'll just go through and read these rapid fire style. Hey, first things first, we've got new merch out. I'm wearing some right now. See if I can get that t-shirt in that shot. There we go. We've got 3 shirts, 2 hoodies, and water bottles. I don't have a bottle up here. We've also got recovery rocks. Guys, I see these orders coming in, and thank you so much for this. It's not that we make a killing on rocks by any means. This is because I know that you are acknowledging the journey that someone else has walked with you through recovery, and this means a hell of a lot to people. I mean, a lot. I got a lot of recognition in recovery. My recovery was very public to people around me. I let everyone know what was going on in my life, and everyone asked me how I was doing. Dude, how are you? Are you hanging in there? People were they beat around the bush. They tiptoe. They weren't sure how to really ask it, but they were still concerned, with how I was doing. Hardly anyone did this for Paige. If anyone did this for Paige, it would mean a hell of a lot if you did this for your partner, and encourage others to do the same. We usually don't recover in a vacuum. It takes a community of people helping, supporting, and this is what this is about. That's what these rocks are about. It's this is you starting that journey for them of acknowledgement, and it's really cool, honoring their experience. We've also got a sponsor for today's show. Thank you to SoberLink. SoberLink is the world's greatest accountability device that is disguised as a breathalyzer. Listen, you've probably promised and said, I'm done with this. I won't do it again. And you find yourself back to drinking somehow. You're not even sure how. And you're probably wondering, they're probably wondering, what's different about this time? Because unfortunately, our words lose meaning over time. Trust is lost in buckets. It's very easy to lose. It is so hard to rebuild. It is regained in tiny little droplets. Here's what's great about SoberLink. You voluntarily get this device as a way to show your family that you're serious, that you're letting them in your recovery journey, and you're going to give them visibility and transparency they've never had before. They want to know what's going on with you. They want to ask, but they don't want to get too involved that they lose themselves. Take that conversation off the table. Take that worry off the table for them and just give them the information one way or the other, right? One way meaning you're doing the deal and they can start to trust you again, or they're not. You're not trustworthy and they need to make decisions that are best for them and your children and everyone else. That's what our show is about. We don't sugarcoat it. Sometimes these relationships are dangerous for people and they have to make decisions that are best for them and for your children. And I hope that you make it along with them, but there is such a thing as too little, too late. So let's get serious about this. Let's see what's different, because it is a tool that can help you rebuild trust. Every negative test that alerts people in your sober network that you set up is a droplet back into that bucket of trust as you rebuild trust through your actions and showing them that you're serious this time. It's going to keep you from drinking in those moments of weakness that you would normally find it easy to. It's really easy to talk ourselves into terrible ideas. Believe me, I get it. I was the king of this for many, many years. On the way home, good day, bad day, didn't matter. Suddenly the thought crosses my mind, it'd be really good to have a drink. You could stop in, you could hide it, you could claim that you were working late. I know all the tricks. You can do all kinds of stuff, drinking in your truck, using the breath mints, the gum, you name it, right? No more of that, because you're going to have to use the device because you agreed to, blowing it 4 times a day or whatever it might be, and they're going to get alerted. So it's going to keep you from doing that. The other side of that is it's going to give you people that are really supportive of your journey. I know it's humiliating for a lot of guys to say, I'm struggling, I'm having a hard time. This is a really awesome way to bring people in your circle so they can wrap their arms around you and support you as you walk through this very difficult journey of rebuilding trust and getting sober. You're going to have people that are pulling for you, people that want to see you win, man. So as you're testing negative over and over and over, you're going to get texts and people reaching out saying, I'm proud of you. And that feels really good. Those little micro wins go a long way in keeping you on the track and on the path. All right. On the other side of this is a gift of visibility that you give your spouse and partner. Like, they don't want to patrol you. They don't want to look for bottles. They don't want to have to wonder. Just give them the information. Just be upfront with it. Like, nothing means more than that to them. I can promise you. Just be straight with me. I'm sick of having to wonder. I feel like I'm going crazy because I would also lie about things, right? So I would gaslight and make them feel crazy. We remove that with SoberLink. It provides data. So it can be a really great tool for rebuilding trust and accountability in a relationship and helping you get sober and stay that way. On the other side, if you are someone who is just trying to keep your children safe in a custody agreement, you can get these things written into your agreements. They are court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada, trusted by hundreds of thousands of people, judges, attorneys. They know about these things, very familiar with them. You will not be coming to them. They'll look at you like you're crazy. They've heard of SoberLink. They know it's been around forever, used in these kinds of situations. If this sounds like something you might be interested in, now is the time to get one. They've changed some things. It used to be rather expensive to get into one of these devices. You would have to pay an upfront cost for the device itself, several $100s. Then you would have a monthly plan cost, which is like a cell phone bill or something like that. Because there's the reporting data and all that stuff. It needs a signal for this stuff. It has to be reported and downloaded onto a server. So they've made it easier now. You can rent these things for as little as $19 a month. For less than $20 a month, you can just rent the device. So no more upfront costs that are pretty substantial. And since you're an awesome listener of our show, they're going to give you a $100 gift card that you can use on anything. You can use it on new Tufo merch. You can use it on your bills this holiday season. You can use it on that monthly plan cost, whatever it is. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, go to soberlink.com/wheels to find out more. Enter your email address. Get that $100 rebate by going to soberlink.com/wheels. We've also got a program called Independently Strong. We're renaming it to Reclaiming You. I think it's a much better verbiage to encompass what we're actually trying to do. We are not trying to make people get independent of anyone. We are trying to help people reclaim their identity. That's what we're trying to do. And you can do that in or outside of a relationship. So I think it's better, right? You can find out more about our program. We got a new website, reclaiming-u.com. Go check it out today, reclaiming-u.com. Okay, now let's get this thing started. I haven't done one of these in a little while. I always felt like it was kind of lazy content creation, but what's great about these sorts of episodes where I just essentially take a bunch of questions and answer them as best I can, rapid fire style, is that we can cover a lot of content in a pretty short period of time, and it keeps me from getting lost. Sometimes when I'm talking about one subject for too long, my little ADD brain will just disappear, go somewhere else, and then I struggle to get back on track and really get at the meat of what I was trying to say. That's been a huge challenge of mine since we've started the show, is to really get to the point. I struggle with that, as I'm doing right now, as a matter of fact. So we're going to go rapid fire through these things on the most relevant questions that I get asked that are relevant, not just for guys. You need to know the answers to this kind of stuff, and I'll just give you my perspective on these things. And your spouses want to know too. They're very curious. They would love to sit in the locker room and hear the answers to these sorts of questions. All right. Number one, maybe one of the more controversial. Guys often ask me, why do I have to be the one to change first? Why is it me that has to do all this work? What about them? Like, they don't have stuff going on. Like, she's perfect. That's a very, very common issue that comes up. We get it in our DMs. I get it in emails all the freaking time. Here's my take on this. You have to go first because you're the one that screwed this thing up. You're the one that fucked it up. If we're talking about, if we're going to be keeping score, because that's essentially what you're doing here, let's keep the score and let's go ahead and tally it up. So if we're using your logic, you go first because you've caused more damage than they did. The stuff that you have a problem with is more than likely a reaction and patterns that have developed as a result of your behavior over time. Most people aren't acting this way day one. They act this way over the course of time as you have behaved a certain way, whether you're lying or cheating or being deceitful or gaslighting or verbally abusing them or physically abusing them. These things have resulted in patterns for them, right? This is what trauma does to people. So when I'm talking to anyone in recovery, I will insist, and there is no two ways about this, you go first. You lead the repair. And most of the time it's guys that want to beat their chest and talk about how men are leaders and all this other shit that are the ones asking this question. If you are such a leader, then do it now. You step forward. You go first. You take the lead in the repair. It's only right that you do. And this logically makes sense too. When we're looking at what is really going on in this relationship at 30,000 feet, you have a person, generally your wife, who is struggling to hang on for dear life. Struggling, okay? When you both started, let's say all things equal in the relationship in the beginning, everyone comes to the relationship with, we'll call them quirks. I don't even like the word flaws, right? They're quirks. Everyone's got their own things that develop from childhood or just the way that they developed from being in previous relationships, whatever else. We all show up with quote unquote baggage in relationships. Okay, that stuff can be worked out. And it generally is over the course of time. That's what marriage is about. There's what's called the Michelangelo phenomenon, where partners over time end up molding their partner into the perfect version of what a partner is to them. And they will do the same to you. It's really interesting. Like, you know how they say that dogs look like their owners over time? Kind of that thing. But with emotions and traits and things like that. And Paige and I have done this with each other without even realizing it over time. Like, I want to please her. I want to make her happy. Like I want to be an ideal partner for her. She wants to do the same for me. And so over time, you will find that you kind of become molded to this perfect version of that person. And some of those old traits and some of that old baggage will leave the relationship. The problem presents here, and why it's your responsibility, back to that point, is because you introduced something pretty egregious, something that changed the dynamics of all of this. And that's addiction and everything that it brings. It's not just addiction, right? It's not just drinking. Drinking isn't the problem here. It's the lying. It's the gaslighting. It's the infidelity. It's the emotional affairs. It's all this other stuff that creates a whole set of other baggage that piled onto the stuff that was already there in the beginning. And so you want to focus on these things that are irritating you when the problem, for the most part, is you. I can assure you, if you just focus on you, you start to correct the patterns that have set all this stuff into motion, at some point, your spouse, your partner will have to face their own stuff to deal with. You are not responsible for their healing, okay? They are going to have to be responsible for their own healing. Paige was responsible for her own healing. At some point, I had basically cleared the wreckage, and what was left over, I still had a part in. Maybe it was my fault that some of that stuff was there, but it was still her responsibility for correcting it. My job was to support that healing, it wasn't to do it for her. But that's a conversation you have after there's safety and stability. We don't talk about this stuff in triage, okay? You go first because you mucked it up. You're the one who screwed this stuff up in the beginning. Take the lead in repair. Take the lead in repair. So many men want to look at themselves as the leader of their families. And so many men struggle with this very thing, which is incredibly ironic to me. You're responsible for repair. Just look at it that way, okay? And I think that should be good news to you. It was good news to me. When I first came to the treatment center and I looked at the wreckage of what our marriage really was and our relationship and everything that I'd done to her and some of her quirks, if you will, that drove me nuts, I could look at those things and see how I played a role in them. And so I looked at it as if this is all my fault. But that's great news, because if it's all my fault, then it's all my responsibility to correct. And I know how to work hard. I know how to fix things. I can do this. I was wrong in the respect that at some point her healing became her responsibility and I couldn't do everything for her, but I could sure as hell set the stage to make that possible. I think this is what justice requires. This is what justice requires. I don't think it's right to ask someone that you have harmed to go first. Do you? Does that sound fair? That doesn't sound very fair to me. That's my answer to that question. Still comes up a lot though. Next one. This comes up a lot, and these next few will be a theme of this. If I'm sober, why is she still angry? If I got sober, the thing that she wanted, then why is she still pissed? I just need you to know that sobriety stops the harm, but it does not heal it for them. Most of the time, spouses have this distortion in cause and effect. They think that it's the drinking that's causing all of these problems. And maybe it causes some of them, some of the behaviors that show up more severe when you're drinking, that were always there to begin with, but more severe when you're drinking. That stuff is tampered down, but the rest of the stuff still exists. There's still not safety in the relationship. They're still impacted in some ways. There's still trauma that has been caused. There's a lot of wreckage to be cleared. And so just drinking is the beginning. It's not the end. If it were that simple, my God, man, how great that would be. I can just quit drinking and fix every bit of this. It doesn't work that way. There's so many other behaviors that underlie what's problematic in that relationship that are unrelated to drinking. This is stuff that you've never really dealt with, like how to process your anger, how to be truthful, how to deal with your ego being harmed, how to, how to be consistent and disciplined and persistent in the things you say you're going to do, how to hold space for people when they're upset, how to sit there and not fix people's problems and just listen and validate their emotions. All that stuff, like that stuff has nothing to do with drinking, really. I would accept the argument, and I do agree that it's difficult, if not impossible, to do while you're still drinking. So sobriety is part of it. But my retort to that is that there are plenty of people who have a healthy relationship, if there is such a thing, with alcohol that don't have problems like this in their relationships, right? Because your problems are beyond the substance, far beyond the substance. It's your behaviors. So they're still pissed because your behaviors still suck, most likely. That's the problem. Next one. Why do I feel like the bad guy when I'm trying my ass off? This one comes up a lot, and it kind of breaks my heart, but at the same time, you need to hear this. Trying does not erase the past. Addiction is like a freight train. Just because we stop pulling that train down the tracks with that chain, just because we drop that train doesn't mean that train stops rolling. It keeps rolling, and it'll roll for quite some time. It'll roll over you. It'll roll over everything. That stuff will follow you for quite some time. The perception of you in other people's minds is what they've seen. It's your patterns. We exist in other people's minds as patterns over time. And those patterns don't just disappear because you've gotten sober for 60 days and you're trying. I don't also, same time, I don't want to discourage you from trying. I don't want you to stop trying. I think a lot of guys will take that as a sign to quit. Like, what's the point? If I'm going to be working my ass off and I'm doing my best here, why would I keep doing this if you're just going to keep railing on me? And I understand your pain. And I would also, and Paige, if she were sitting here, she would tell you the same thing. When you see something good, say something good. She always did this for me. She was really, really great about this. Always has been. When she would notice a new behavior, she would tell me she was proud of me. She would acknowledge it. And it meant so much to me. Try not to get choked up about it because she didn't have to do that. And I can imagine what it was like in her shoes, letting me know that kind of thing, but that's just who she is. And I have to wonder, if you're past that point where you can't do that, is there any future at all? And I tend to think no, but I would love to be proven wrong and watch people rebuild from that. I just think that once there's such disdain, man, for someone else, and there's contempt for somebody, like, could you rebuild from that? Yeah, maybe. But there is such a thing as a total relationship where the effort could outweigh the useful life of that relationship, if that makes sense. You know, like a totaled car, like it costs more to fix than it would just to get a new car. It's possible, right? You may have to go through too much pain, but I understand what it's like to want to rebuild something and to get shit on. I just have to encourage you to stay the course. Stay the course. Remember that freight train thing we just talked about? It's going to keep rolling you over. And that's part of it. It's part of the deal. It's not a sign to quit. Just keep going. Just keep going. Understand where that stuff is coming from, right? Understand that you set into motion events based on your behaviors that led to patterns that they've come to see as a makeup of you that give them a certain idea of you in their mind. And it's our job and it's our responsibility. And look at it as a challenge to change that. Look at it as a challenge, man. Don't look at it like a death sentence. It's a challenge. You can fix this. It's going to take time. It will take time. Like, let's put it into guy terms. Let's say that you've got a second baseman that makes a lot of errors, okay? And you have a come to Jesus talk with him. You pull him on the bench and you say, next time you screw up, you're out of here. You are effing out of here. And this kid takes it to heart. And he's like, man, coach is really wanting to get rid of me. I'm going to start showing up early before everyone else. And I'm going to stay late. I'm going to do my best. And you start doing these things. You put in the extra reps. You're working your ass off. You're studying film. You're working with instructors. You're doing everything you're supposed to do. And you make an error in practice. Coach is going to rail on your ass and it's going to hurt because you're trying. You understand why he's upset though, right? Because he can only see what he sees, which is what's in front of him, and it's your actions based on those past behaviors. We are responsible in many ways for the way that we show up in other people's minds. It's our behaviors that led us here. Now, you can turn it around, and that's where I want you to have some hope. That same second baseman that shows up and he's busting his ass, at some point that coach is going to recognize that, and that's going to mean the world to him. He's not going to let that kid go anywhere because he knows that kid cares, and that kid will work. Relationships aren't too much different, guys. They're really not. You can rebuild this thing, but it's going to take a hell of a lot of effort for a long period of time. And it will get better when they have more positive experiences than negative experiences. When the positive can outweigh the negative, they will start to reframe the way they think of you. It happens little by slow. It doesn't happen all at once. Think of it like losing weight. Another analogy here. Let's say that you were overweight and you wanted to lose weight. You would make a lot of changes pretty quickly. You would change your diet. You would start exercising. You would stop eating sugar. You would be getting up in the morning. You'd be drinking a lot of water, no longer sodas or alcohol or whatever it is. And to you, it would feel like a lot. Like I made 20 changes that are pretty significant in my life. And then you get on the scale at the end of the week. And what does the scale say? F you. It's telling you did nothing. That's the worst feeling in the world. But what happens if you quit right then? You go back to your old ways and the scale number keeps going up. But if you stay with it, eventually the scale will recognize your progress. And I think people are very similar to scales in that respect. They will recognize it. It just takes time. It takes time to adjust. Just keep going. It's not a signal to stop. I know it hurts. And I had someone recently reach out to me, and I'm so proud of them for doing that. In this moment, they had felt like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, and it feels like it's not getting better. And it's pretty new sobriety, and it's pretty new repair. And I sat there with him. And I get it, man. I know it sucks. And you let them vent, and I let you talk about it and let you hurt. And then I'm gonna give you a little pep talk, man. I'm gonna be like the coach to the second baseman. I'm telling you, hey, you get your ass out here and you keep working. Do not stop. Keep going. Let's see what you can do. Keep going. Remember, some of this is a result of your own behaviors. You're responsible for this. So if you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at yourself, but don't let it stop you. Don't listen to that shame. Keep going. That's my advice. Why does everything get blamed on me? That's kind of the secondary piece of this question. Man, you're untangling a long history of pain here. You're untangling a lot of patterns and behaviors that were earned. I had to look at everything that was going on in my relationship and the distrust that existed, and I had earned every bit of the distrust that existed in my relationship. Likely you have too. And it's tough in those moments when you're trying really hard, where you get blamed and it's like, but I didn't do anything wrong, right? This is sort of like the boy that cries wolf. Like, if people can't trust what you're saying, you can't be mad at them when they don't believe you. And this is kind of works the same way with our behaviors. Also, remember, your spouse is harmed. They're working through trauma. They're really trying to figure out what's real, what's not. Is this change in them real? You have been the biggest problem in that house for quite some time. And so you will probably catch the first bit of blame. I was a middle kid. Was that any of you middle child, right? Second born syndrome. I was the kid who was always getting my ass chewed out. It was always my fault. Most of the time I was responsible, but not always. Sometimes it was one of my other brothers, but I always caught the shit because I was always the one getting in trouble. That's just kind of the nature of it, right? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. I got the attention because I was the one acting up all the time. So you have to understand that if there's going to be a problem, you're more likely the one to catch the first punch. It doesn't mean that it's okay. Like, over time, this stuff will work itself out. What I would encourage you to do is stay curious about it. Stay curious. Stay curious as to where this is coming from, why they feel this way. Ask some questions. What's going on? What would make you think that I did XYZ that led you to feel that way? Well, because you've done it before. And then now you can recognize, oh shit, this is my fault in some way, even if it wasn't my fault this time. Yeah, it's kind of the way it works. And you can hold space for that. Understand that, like, they don't want to blame. It's not easier to blame you necessarily. It's just the most logical step they would take. Okay. You were the one causing the most problems. You were the tornado in the house. So yeah, you're going to get blamed for a lot of things early on, and you can handle it. It's okay. It's kind of part of it, man. It's going to be okay. I promise you. You can fix this if you keep going, or you can look at it the other way and say, can't win, don't try, I give up. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But I would encourage you to listen to me or our show. We're not for quitters. Not in that respect. If you want to quit a substance, yeah, I'm for you, but not in life, man. Let's keep going. Do I get to have needs too? This is a question people ask a lot. Do I get to have needs too? Do you mean sex? Because I feel like people always mean sex here. This is what I feel like guys are always getting to say here. Like, is for a lot of men, like when they say needs, it's code for sex. I'm going to assume that you meant this in a deeper way. Let's say that you have emotional needs, safety needs. Okay. Yeah. Do you get to have needs? Sure. But do you think the triage room of the ER is the time to talk about your needs when they're in there for their healing? No, I don't think that that's really appropriate. You should be focusing on creating safety and stability first. Your needs will be addressed. I promise you, bro. I promise you. They will. But I feel like this is always code for sex. Again, assuming this is not, let's assume that you're talking about like a safe space to talk about your emotions or your pain or things that have hurt you. Okay. But if it's a tit for tat, keep score kind of deal, that's not really appropriate either, is it? I don't think it's fair to throw darts at someone. What is that accomplishing? Like, is the scoreboard really that relevant to you? Is that what your relationship's about? It's amounted to a scoreboard. You did this. Well, you did that. Well, you did this. Well, you did that. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Third grade? Like, what's the point of this? That's not how relationships are built. We don't keep score. Okay. Sure. You have needs. Let's look at things independently, right? Who's got the most urgent needs right now? It's probably them. You have needs too, and you can talk about them. Let's say that you're in a relationship with someone and you're trying to rebuild, and you're trying to do your best. You're doing everything you can. You're holding space. You're being disciplined, staying away from the substance. You're working some kind of a program, or you're going to therapy. You're working with a coach. You're doing your own version of recovery that is focused on changing your behaviors, not just changing the substances you're using or the absence of substances. You're trying to be a better dude. Let's say you're doing every bit of it, and they're really ugly to you, and they're kind of negative, like this won't last, or you're just a piece of shit, or any number of nasty things they can say to you. Is it fair to say, like, I'm trying here and this isn't helping? I need to know if this is going to work. Do you have it in you to give me patience and space? Like, let me know. That is a nice way of you saying, this doesn't help that you're talking shit to me when I'm trying. And this is a way of you letting them know, like, my needs here. I need to feel like there's a chance. I need to feel like this matters. I need to feel like the work I'm doing is helping in some way. I think that it's also relevant to note nuance here that you should be doing this for yourself, not just to save a relationship. If your sobriety is contingent on something, it can be short-lived sobriety. It's dangerous sobriety at best, because what happens when that thing disappears? What happens when someone lets you down? What happens when you don't get the job or things fall up? Like, then your sobriety goes too, right? It should be contingent on you wanting to be a better man. But if someone is berating you and they're being ugly to you, do you have the right to say, like, I need support or kindness at the very least? Yeah, I think that's fair. But should this be the center of topic all the time? No. In these situations, I would always put my wife's needs first. They were the most immediate, but she was also very kind and loving and supportive. And so I didn't have someone that was like berating me or being ugly or nasty to me. I have to wonder why you two are together if that's where you're at. I really do. I don't know. Maybe some therapists would say that that's cruel to say that, and they've seen things turn around. I just using common sense here. I don't see how that's like, where do you come back from that? You know, like, you hate each other. That's hate, man. That's like disdain, contempt. Like, Jesus. I don't know if you come back from that. Maybe. Okay. On the sex question, why does she always shut down about sex? Dude, safety creates desire. For most women, that's like a prerequisite for all this other stuff. I think that a lot of guys equate support or needs with sex. You have this physical need. Here's what you don't understand about your desire for sex. It's not just biologically driven for reproduction. You just have a high libido. Sure, there's something to be said about that. But what you're really after is connection. You need to feel like someone has seen you, that someone can be vulnerable with you, that they can feel safe with you. because that is one of the most vulnerable things people can do with each other, if not the most vulnerable thing they can do with each other. This says, I trust you. And so you want that shit, and the shortcut to that shit is sex. Also, it feels good. You have to create safety. You have to earn this. I don't know why you feel like this is some kind of requirement. Like, dude, earn your dinner. Go out and earn it. I don't know why you think it should just be like, this is just a given, like a guarantee of some kind. No, like if you put someone in a situation where they don't feel safe with you, like you cannot rush intimacy back into a relationship. Build trust, build safety, desire will come. Here's what I have found in my own relationship is that when I focus on safety, stability, consistency, being a better man, I never had to worry about the other piece. I never had to worry about the sex part. It just happened naturally on its own. I wasn't even trying to do that. I was just trying to be a better guy. She found that attractive, desired to be with me, and the result was that. So I don't know. Maybe look at it that way. I think that a lot of dudes put way too much on sex because they look at sex in an unhealthy way. They look at sex as the same way they did kind of addiction. Like, this is giving me something that I want the shortcut to this warm, fuzzy feeling of feeling like I'm enough and that I don't have anxiety. It's like, it's the same thing. You're using it in the same way. So like, I don't think that's the most healthy thing that you're so focused on sex right now. Now, if you're in a relationship years out and you've like working on repair and you're not having sex, go talk to somebody. That could be a problem, right? What makes a romantic relationship is ultimately sex. So if we're not having sex, then what are we? Like roommates? It's kind of strange to me. Different strokes for different folks. No pun intended, but like, I don't know. It's kind of strange. Talk to someone. Let's see. Let's get a good one here. There's a lot of questions, like 30 of these things. And some of them are loosely related to one another, so I don't want to get redundant. How about, how much of her triggers are my responsibility? Her triggers are my responsibility. So you're probably partly responsible for the reason those triggers exist, but you're not responsible for healing those triggers. You're responsible for supporting her through her healing on those triggers. I hope that makes sense. Let's say that someone they get really triggered when you're late, because this reminds them of when you would lie about picking up drugs or drinking or being out with friends or cheating or something like that. And you come home and you haven't been doing any of those things. Okay. But they are triggered and they get really upset with you. Triggered responses are generally immature responses. These are emotional reactions. They're not responses really. They're just reactions, right? How dare you? What the F? What's wrong with you? You can't pick up the phone and call. Were you out with one of your girlfriends? What were you doing? Are you drunk? Let me smell your breath. And it feels like an attack in those moments. I always had to remember that she was responding based on past behaviors that I set into motion. I would always pause. I would stay calm and I would support her. And I would say, I understand exactly why you feel this way. I would feel the same way. And for the record, I wasn't doing any of those things, but you're right to feel this way. Validate it. Understand that like they're feeling this way out of a very reasonable chain of events that led to this feeling. It's not out of the blue. It's not to attack you. It's not because you suck and they hate you or that, dude, this stuff is set into motion from years ago. Okay. This is, again, I looked at it like my responsibility. And so I knew though that it was something that she would have to work through, that Paige was going to have to work through on her own. Ultimately, she would have to face the fact that she had to, in some ways, trust me, like give me the chance. And my job was not to coerce her or anything like that. My job was just to support her. How can I support you better through this kind of stuff? And it's communicate. You can effing communicate. You may not be responsible for the fact that your boss barged in your office and made you do a report late, but you are responsible for picking up your phone real quick and saying, hey, he just came in here, or FaceTime, hey, I just came in here. He just came in here and made me do this, whatever it is, and I'll be home in 30 minutes, and then call him on the way home. Just communicate. People like to be in the loop. It makes them feel safe, okay? Don't make them feel crazy. If you lead them to a position where they could, they will, and then you can't get mad at them when they do. Remember, they're here because of us generally. So you're responsible for safety, but you are not responsible for her whole recovery. You're not. I think there are some spouses that would like to think that their partner can do all this for them, and they can't. They can create conditions that make that possible. They can create supportive environments. They can create a really safe space for you, but they can't do the work for you. You are ultimately going to have to do that work. So you can't really fix it for them. That's what sucks. You can support it. And that's what I would focus on, is supporting it, validating it, holding space for it. But the healing itself is going to have to be their, it's their journey. That's what Paige does so well with people. That's what we do with our show and program and everything else. And that's like the point of all of this, is to help people heal on the other side of addiction. All right. Is her boundary controlling? I see this one a lot. And I will say, I have seen a lot of people's examples of boundaries that are just an effort at controlling someone. I have. Boundaries are a way to protect yourself, right? It's saying what I will do, and you have to change nothing if X happens. If X happens, I will do this. You don't have to do anything different. This is what I'm going to do. And a lot of people misunderstand that. A lot of people try to get someone to act a certain way with the use of a quote unquote boundary that is more or less an order or demand, right? You can't drink in this house. Or what? Or what? That's a demand. That's trying to control someone else's behavior. You can drink in this house, but I will not be here if you choose to do that. That's a boundary. You're keeping yourself safe. You're removing yourself from that environment that does not fit with your values. That's what you're going to do in those situations. I think the best way you can look at it is boundaries are self-control, and control is about managing you, right? So yeah, boundaries, quote unquote boundaries, can sometimes be just a form of coercion or control in some way. It's for people that just don't quite understand what boundaries are for. They still want someone else to behave differently. Like, I told you not to do X, Y, Z. You could tell people all day long, like, you're free to do it. It's going to be ineffective. And then if they don't do it, then what are you going to do? Yell at them, scream at them, berate them, throw things. And where does that lead you, right? You're not acting within your values generally. You're trying to get them to behave a certain way so that you can feel okay in the relationship. And boundaries don't work that way. I will do X, you change nothing. That's what boundaries are. Boundaries are inconvenient for the person setting them. You will generally have to do something that you don't want to do. But remember, this is about self-control. This is about you controlling yourself. This is about you saying what you will and will not tolerate. This is not about trying to force anyone to do anything. Now, the natural consequences that come from boundaries could lead someone to change their behavior, but I wouldn't count on it. Usually just going to turn you into the villain, and that's okay too. But yeah, sometimes people will set quote unquote boundaries that aren't really boundaries. That's, I'm guessing, where this question came from, is that someone said like, yeah, you can't they gave them a set of rules, like rules to be in a relationship with me. Like, you're free to do that. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not telling you what to do with your life, but it's just it's not going to work. And then what are you going to do if they don't do it? Get louder, get more aggressive. Like, and then this person showing you like what they're willing to do. And like, if they're not willing to do it, is this someone you want to be in a relationship with? Like, you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole, and it's not going to work. All right. Ooh, this is a good one. Does she still respect me, and will she ever respect me again? That's a tough one. I have found that respect is born out of consistency and persistence. It is not given to us or owed to us, as I think some people feel like. I don't know if this comes from like Christianity or the way that we generally look at marriage in the Western culture, where like the man is like the center of the home or the leader of the house, and like respect kind of inherently comes with that, or what. But I disagree wholly. I think respect is earned from everyone, right? You act in a certain way over a long period of time. Respect is the result of those things. Do admirable things, people will admire you. I don't think that you can just demand respect. I do think that you can do some things so bad, people can find it hard to ever respect you again. They can maybe just kind of paint you in a corner of their mind that you will never be someone they respect. It's possible. Depends on what happened, right? I was able to regain respect in my relationship, but I also hadn't cheated on my wife. I'd never hit my wife. I'd never done a lot of the things that some of these guys are doing. They're asking these sorts of questions. And my answer is maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I also wouldn't let it stop you from just doing the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing, not from being respected. But I have seen relationships rebuilt from like ashes, man. And it's consistency and persistence that rebuilds that mutual respect in the relationship. It's not anyone demanding it. and like just giving it freely. Like you earn that. Don't forget it. It's earnable. And sometimes it is gone forever, but not always. Oh, this one was interesting. This is kind of like that triage question. Why does she get offended when I give advice? Man, this is like when someone goes to therapy once and they come home and they want to tell you everything that they learned and like they're the expert all of a sudden. I think it's great that you're learning, but generally people take advice from people they trust and they just don't trust you yet, right? So in the beginning, trying to give advice from a place of like being just a week or two removed from the one that was the biggest problem in the home is a hard thing for people to accept. And it doesn't mean that you're wrong. I just be clear about that, but you also have to understand why they also wouldn't be willing to accept it freely and like take that and like listen to it, because there isn't a whole lot of respect there, but it will come in time. All right. It will come in time. And most of the time, if you haven't figured out, people generally just want someone to listen. They don't want solutions. Most guys, including myself, still forget that from time to time. People just want to be heard. They want to be listened to. They want to be validated. Not everyone's looking for solutions. Sometimes they are. You just need to know the difference, right? And for spouses listening, like at some point, everyone should be open to learning more and getting curious, right? Like Paige and I had this dynamic for a long time. Paige is a very proud person and she trusts me with advice, but it took a long time to get there because I was always the one that was kind of the lesser of us. And she was always having to correct me and like parent me and teach me. And then at some point I not only caught up to her, I surpassed her, and it became really difficult for her to take advice from me. She learned how to do that. It took time. And it was, I think, probably a humbling experience for her. And this is like a sort of a long-term case, right? This doesn't happen in 6 months or even a year. This takes years to earn that place back in someone's life. But like now it's really great because we're both curious with each other's perspectives and there's so much trust between us and admiration and respect that like if she speaks, I'm listening. And if I speak, she's listening. And so you can really trust the person now, but it wasn't always that way. And I think that everyone's dynamics are a little bit different, but I think that what all the ones have in common where people can give and listen and is that there's trust there and there's admiration and there's respect. And that comes with showing up and that comes with doing the deal and living by those things, not just saying them. Let's get like one more. Oh, here's a good one. Why does everything still get blamed on my addiction? Again, history does not erase with sobriety. You're not going to fix all this stuff overnight. You will be carrying this for quite some time. Is it fair? I don't know. I could argue yes, I could argue no, but we could just say it is. This is reality, is that this stuff will follow you for quite some time and that people won't be willing to look past the addicted version of you for quite some time. I just don't want you to be, I don't want that to be the reason that you give up. I want you to earn a new story. I want you to keep going. I want you to be open to beating those odds and being that person in people's life that overcame this stuff. Like I look at it as a challenge. For quite some time, things got blamed on my addiction and the way I used to be, or the way that my mother treated me, or my family dynamics, or the fact that, you know, I had a relationship with my mother who was a very difficult person to be around. And like everything got blamed on that. It was always that. It was, it's your mother and you. It's this, it's the addiction. And it got really effing old. And I know how frustrating it is because like when it's really maybe not, and it's just me having like a real normal ass human problem that's very universal and it gets blamed on that. It's rather frustrating, but don't let it stop you. Keep going. But I understand why it's frustrating. I do. I also had to understand why that stuff existed, right? And I played a part in it. And if you've got a part in it, you're responsible for it to some degree. Even if they're 99% sure or 99% in the wrong and you're 1% in the wrong, you've still got a 1% part. Keeping your side of the street clean is about keeping your side of the street clean, okay? And once you've done that, my guess is that things aren't going to be blamed on your addiction much longer. Because at this point in your life, you will have earned the same, you know, place in people's mind that everyone else has. But just history isn't erased just because you get sober. I think that it's generally clouds history and clouds the future for quite some time until we have more good experiences with people than bad experiences. But it just takes a while. But anyway, that's what I've got this week. Hopefully that was helpful to you. I wanted to get some more stuff out during the holidays. I think that these will be probably helpful to people. Someone out there is going to be struggling with some of this stuff because the holidays make families, for better or worse, get closer. And sometimes those dynamics aren't exactly healthy. And so you're going to be encountering a lot of this stuff as you're kind of forced in these situations with people that you normally don't associate with. And so it's going to come up. I hope that one of these can be helpful for you. I hope it's been helpful for you in some way. And I appreciate you being here. Until next time, I'm Matt, and I'll see you.